Give in to your darkness, Jaden. Let me take control.
I can't stop it. The intrusive thoughts.
Why don't you main deck Stratos?
On the deck is
One
better.
good power bond away from losing to a Viacroid deck.
Pushing me into darkness.
You left your friends for dead. One of the greatest cinematic pieces of our
Jesse's
time.
hair smells so good.
Huh.
Hey guys, it's Cole from TCG Cardcast, and today I'm going to bring you my 40-card Supreme King Jaden deck profile. So we'll get into that in just a second, but before we do, I'm a little sick. I live in a really dry place, so the allergens are kind of just going crazy on me, so if I sound a little nasally or I feel kind of scatterbrained in the video, that's why. So please forgive me. Let's get into the deck profile.
So the Supreme King is the dark side of Jaden. I think I've said this before when we were doing Zane's deck profile, and I know for a fact I said this when we were doing the Duel Academy stream on the Evil Hero cards. I really love the dark side of Yu-Gi-Oh decks. It's one of my favorite aesthetics, even though I'm not an edgy person, but I love those just really edgy, dark side of the good guy decks. And this character deck is literally everything that I enjoy about that kind of aesthetic. It's fast, it's brutal, it doesn't really take time to build up a board. It just goes straight into summoning out big fusion monsters and doing everything it can to suppress your opponent. Let's get into it, starting off with not the main monster, not the ace monster of this deck. I believe Konami officially deems one of the Evil Hero cards. We'll get to that one in a second, but I'm going to go through all the Elemental Heroes first, starting off with Elemental Hero Neos. Then we've got one copy of Elemental Hero Avion, one Elemental Hero Burstinatrix, one Elemental Hero Clayman, one Elemental Hero Sparkman, one Elemental Hero Wildheart, and one Elemental Hero Prisma. Now these cards are all using their anime Evil Hero artworks. We actually have Avian, Burstinatrix, and Sparkman in real life, but we never got Wildheart and Clayman's Evil Hero artworks. Thanks to Rush for Tacos for helping me by sending me this artwork. What an awesome dude. And for Prisma, I just chose to use his anime artwork because it kind of fits the alt art evil aesthetic. This is the card that Konami deems as the Supreme King's actual boss monster, which is Evil Hero Malicious Edge, which is an Earth level 7 Fiend effect with 2618. If your opponent controls a monster, you contribute this card face up with 1 tribute. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. Then I've given him 2 copies of Evil Hero Infernal Gainer. Infernal Gainer's effect is an Earth level 4 Fiend with 16-0. During your main phase 1, you can banish this card from your field, then target 1 Fiend monster that you control. But that target can make a second attack during each battle phase while you control it face up. Once per turn during your standby phase, after this card was banished, to activate this effect, you can special summon this card in attack position. Then we've got 3 copies of Evil Hero Infernal Prodigy. Prodigy is a Dark level 2 Fiend effect with 300-600. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand in attack position. Once per turn during the end phase, if this card was tributed this turn to tribute summon a hero monster, you can draw 1 card. I've given him a copy of the Dark Hex Sealed Fusion. This card came out in that General GX era, and honestly, this card helps out a lot with making your Dark Fusion cards. Then we have 1 copy of Necro Gardena, 1 Dark Catapulter, and 1 Galus the Star Beast. Now normally, the Supreme King doesn't play any other cards outside of these hero monsters minus Prisma and all these Evil Hero cards, but like I said, I wanted to add some more depth to this deck to make it actually feel like an evil version of Jaden's deck. So that's why I've got these guys in here, and the Dark Hex Sealed Fusion is just here because he really fits the theme and helps you summon out those iconic Evil Hero monsters. On to the spells, we've got 3 copies of the main spell in this deck, which is Dark Fusion. Dark Fusion is a fusion spell that fusion summons one fiend monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. Your opponent cannot target it with card effects this turn. Then on the flip side, we've got 3 copies of Dark Calling, which is pretty much just Dark Fusion, but it uses cards in your hand and graveyard as material instead. And then the most iconic card that the Supreme King plays, 100%, Super Polymerization. This card is really, really, really good. It's a quick play spell, discard 1 card, fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from either side of the field as material. Neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. Now, there aren't a lot of cards in the extra deck that you can actually summon with Super Polymerization. Obviously, we're using the anime rules, which says that Super Poly can just ignore summoning conditions for cards as long as it can meet the 2 fusion material requirement. And I'll go into a card I'd like to add to the extra deck in a second once we get to the extra deck itself. Then we got a copy of H Heated Heart, 1 E Emergency Call, which adds 1 elemental hero from your deck to your hand, 1 R Righteous Justice, 1 O Oversoul, which brings back a normal hero monster, 1 Fake Hero, which special summons an elemental hero monster from your hand. It cannot attack, and it must go back to your hand during the end phase. A Hero Mask, a Vicious Claw, which is an equipped spell. The equipped monster gains 300 attack. If the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle, return this card to its owner's hand instead. Then, destroy 1 monster, except the one that battled the equipped monster, and inflict 600 damage to your opponent. After that, special summon 1 Evil Token, Fiend type, Dark, level 7, attack 25, defense 25 on your opponent's side of the field. During the turn this card returned to your hand, you cannot use Vicious Claw from your hand. We got 1 copy of Effect Shut, which is an anime card that is a quick play spell. Activate only when your opponent activates any monster's effect, negate the activation, and destroy that monster. We have 1 Dark Factory of Mass Production, again, just to help you recover some of your fusion material monsters. A Reinforcements of the Army, a Graceful Charity, and a Pot of Greed. And onto the traps, we don't have a whole lot. We've just got 1 copy of Evil Blast. Activate only when a monster is special summoned to your opponent's side of the field. Equip this card to that monster. It gains 500 attack, but during each of your opponent's standby phases, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. We got a copy of Hero Signal, 1 Hero Blast, and 1 Drain Shield. And now we're on to the fun stuff, the main cards you're going to be summoning out in this deck. We've got 1 copy of Evil Hero Inferno Wing. I would personally deem that as the Supreme King's ace monster. I'm not sure why Konami is saying Malicious Edge. Maybe it's just because it's a main deck card. I don't know. But I would say that Inferno Wing is the Supreme King's ace monster. It's a fire level 6 Fiend Fusion with 2112. Requires Avian and Burstinatrix as material. This monster cannot be special summoned except with Dark Fusion. During battle between this attacking card and a defense position monster whose defense is lower than the attack of this card, inflict the piercing battle damage to your opponent. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to either the attack and defense of the destroyed monster, whichever is higher. Then we've got 1 copy of Evil Hero Lightning Golem, which is a light level 6 Fiend Fusion with 2415. Requires Clayman and Sparkman. Must be summoned with Dark Fusion. They've all got that effect. Once per turn, you can destroy 1 monster on the field. Then we got 1 copy of Infernal Sniper, which is also, again, a fire level 6 Fiend Fusion with 2025. Requires Clayman and Burstinatrix. This card cannot be destroyed by spell cards. During each of your standby phases, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. This card must be face up in defense position to activate and resolve this effect. Then we got 1 Evil Hero Wild Cyclone, which is a Earth level 8 Fiend Fusion with 1923. If this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate any spells/traps until the end of the damage step. When this card inflicts damage to your opponent, destroy all face-up spells and traps your opponent controls. Then we got 1 copy of Dark Gaia. Dark Gaia is the only real Super Poly target in this deck, which is kind of unfortunate because we recently got another new Super Poly target for the deck, which is Evil Hero Dark Knight. If you guys really wanted to, I would highly recommend playing Dark Knight in this deck when that card comes out, because I know I sure will be. I would have made a proxy for it, but the only artwork for it that exists has the JP Yu-Gi-Oh logo on it, and I didn't want to see that. So when that card comes out, this deck will be updated to have Dark Knight, because I genuinely believe that card it feels like a card that the Supreme King would have played in the anime. It feels like an anime card given life. So I would like to play that card because it just makes Super Poly in this deck a lot more frequent of a card you can use. But Evil Hero Dark Gaia is an Earth level 8 Fiend Fusion with !0. Requires 1 Fiend type monster and a Rock type monster. The original attack of this card is equal to the combined original attack of the fused material monsters used to fuse and summon it. When this card declares an attack, you can change all defense position monsters your opponent controls to attack position. Flip effects are not activated at this time. That's another reason why we're playing the Dark Hexial Fusion. Not only is it a card that came out during that time, not only is it a card that helps you summon all these fusion monsters a lot better, it's also a rock monster for your Dark Gaia. So it's not one of those cards where it's like, why does the Supreme King play this if he doesn't have rock monsters? Well, because he has Dark Hexial Fusion. And the last monster in this deck is Evil Hero Malicious Fiend, which is a fire level 8 Fiend fusion with 35/21. Must be special summoned using Evil Hero Malicious Edge and 1 level 6 or higher Fiend type monster. During your opponent's battle phase, all monsters they control are changed to face up attack position, and each monster they control must attack this card if able. So, I mean, yeah, if you really want to go for a crazy swing, you want to go for this guy here. Malicious Edge is the scary monster. If it isn't obvious from what I said at the beginning of the video, the main strategy for this deck is getting into your Evil Hero Fusion monsters. Whether that be getting into Malicious Fiend, or summoning out Inferno Wing, or even getting into Lightning Golem as fast as possible, you want to summon these cards as fast as you can because it's honestly the only thing the deck can really do. You want to obviously get into these cards using Dark Fusion or Dark Calling or Super Problemization if you're willing to put those monsters on your field. And I've made it incredibly easy to get your hands on all of the hero component monsters by stuffing the deck full of cards like Emergency Call, Hero Mask, Dark Factory Mass Production, Reinforcements of the Army, Hero Signal, and Prisma, as well as Dark Hexial Fusion. So you really, if you don't open up a hand that can summon at least one Evil Hero Fusion, then you've got a couple turns until you finally come across one. And you've got the means to stall for a little bit. But the main strategy of the deck is to use all these cards to hopefully turbo out one of your Evil Hero monsters on your first turn. Just like Viper's deck, the Supreme King's deck is made up of all cards we have in the TCG. The only cards in this version of the deck that we don't have are, I think it's just Effect Shut. So you have access to all these cards. You can easily build this Supreme King Jaden deck profile. Obviously, we don't have, like I said, we don't have the artworks for the other Evil Hero, Elemental Hero monsters, but we do have all the cards we need by name to make this deck in real life, which is why it's one of my favorite character decks. Because not only is it so fun to play, it's really, really easy to build. But that was my 40 card Supreme King deck profile. If you guys enjoyed it, hit the button in the center of the screen to subscribe on the spot. Go down into the comment section, tell me what you guys want to see next. And go down into the description, check out the link to our Discord and the link to the other character deck profiles. This has been Cole from TCG Cardcast. Peace out, guys.